Hey, it's Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. Welcome to the Black Belt Leadership Podcast, where each week I'm giving you tips, tools, insights, and resources to help you become a better version of who you are and what you do as you discover, develop, and deploy your own Black Belt leader within. Hey, this week I want to talk about belief. And I want to really specifically focus on the topic, you better believe it. Now, of all the essential elements that are necessary for you and I to achieve our goals, our dreams, and our aspirations in life, in my opinion, belief is the most critical. Now, you may come back and say, John, well, I think action is important. I think persistence is important. Maybe perseverance is important for me to be able to achieve my goals and dreams. Here's what I can tell you. The quintessential element of belief, I believe, takes precedence over all of those. Why? Because you can't achieve what you don't believe. And if you don't believe it, are you really going to take action? Are you really going to be persistent? Are you really going to persevere and have the passion to get to the finish line and keep going even when things get tough? I dare say the answer is no. Now, in my book, Black Belt Leadership 101, I dedicate an entire chapter to the topic of belief, and I open with a simple but timeless truth, and I just shared it with you, and I want to share it again. You cannot achieve what you do not believe. Now, personally, I've been fascinated with the topic of belief for many, many years. In fact, I grew up in a family that focused on teaching me how to believe for success. And here's what I can tell you. Belief plays an integral role in you achieving a greater level of success in your life than you're achieving right now, regardless of how successful you are. Why do I say that? Because I've spent a significant amount of time studying neuroscience, the study of the brain, and here's what I know, and I can attest to be true, and many, many scholars throughout history have validated this as truth. Everything begins with a thought. Every single thing that's ever created, every single thing that you and I are going to do through our entire lives, it all begins with a thought. What you and I believe to be true, or we believe to be achievable in our lives, is going to dictate the actions we're going to take or the actions we're going to fail to take. A lack of belief, in my opinion, is at the heart of many of our failures in life to take action. It is the limiter that causes us not to put ourselves out there, not to venture into the unknown, and not to have the opportunity to try something new. Now, if we go to the dictionary, by definition, belief is an acceptance that a statement or fact is true or that something exists. Definition of belief also says that it is trust, it is faith, or it is confidence in someone or something. Now, I like that second part of the definition. Belief is trust, it's faith, or it's confidence in someone or something. I believe if you're going to be successful in life, you're going to lead yourself well and make good choices, you're going to be that black belt leader that lives his or her life with black belt excellence. I believe that belief has to start with having trust and faith and confidence in yourself. I believe, like me, you've got to believe that you've been put on this earth on purpose, for a purpose, and that nothing is going to keep you from fulfilling that purpose in the earth. Now, belief is an internal sense of confidence. It's that inner voice, that little thing whispering between our ears that is constantly telling us, we can do this. We can become that. We can accomplish this or that or something else. It is belief that drives the passion that compels you and I to take action, to venture outside of what is comfortable and to pursue an elusive goal or dream or objective. Now, when I think of belief and I think of going into the unknown, the immortal words of Gene Roddenberry, as spoken by Captain James T. Kirk, always come to mind. To boldly go where no man has gone before. That took belief. In the early 1960s, Gene Roddenberry envisioned Wagon Train to the Stars. Now, if you grew up in the 60s and were a Western fan, you remember the TV series Wagon Train. Gene Roddenberry believed that the television public would buy into a futuristic wagon train to the stars and begin to pitch this idea of Star Trek. That belief became a global phenomenon that continues to this day. Now, when we think about the field of neuroscience, and remember, I've spent a lot of time studying human behavior, here's what I've learned as I study neuroscience. It is a field of science that is currently exploding as we're digging deeper into the world of the mind and how it operates. This field of science is constantly expanding because it's giving us deeper and deeper insights into the incredible computer that sits between our ears. There is such an incredible latent power in our brains that we are just now beginning to understand how we can tap into the reservoir of power that exists there. Now, one of the things I can tell you, and that is of particular interest to me when it comes to neuroscience, is the study of the subconscious mind. Now, you've heard me talk about this on other podcasts before, or if you had an opportunity to be in one of my training sessions or heard me from the stage, one of the things I say all the time about the subconscious mind is it is the part of the brain that never sleeps. It is the dreaming part of the brain that brings to life what we envision in our thoughts. Now, the subconscious mind, just as we look at the brain, the subconscious mind lies deep within that part of our brain that we often call the primal brain or the reptilian brain. It's the part of our brain that controls our autonomic processes, our heart rate, our respiration, our circulation, our digestion. All of those things are governed and controlled by the subconscious mind, which never sleeps, which I think is a good thing, because if our conscious turns off when we sleep, and that is responsible for breathing and our heart to work, it's probably not a good thing. So I'm glad in the design of the human body by our creator, that our creator put that autonomic function inside of our subconscious mind. Now, also in the subconscious mind is the seat of our emotions, and it's the home of our fight, our flight, or flee response to danger. It's that, oh no moment, or aha moment, or I've got to fight moment. But here's what else resides inside that subconscious mind, and that is your belief system. Your belief system rests deep within your brain in the heart of your subconscious mind. Now, why is that important? Because what you and I believe to be true finds its way to the innermost part of who we are. What we believe defines us, but more than that, it not only defines us, what we believe transforms our view of the world around us and how you and I respond to the world. Our beliefs can either open us up to limitless opportunities, or those same beliefs can hold us back. They can restrain us, and they can deny us the opportunity to even make the effort to try. It can either become the door to endless possibilities, or we can choose to close that door and never step through the threshold into what's possible. Now, again, going back to the premise of my book, Black Belt Leadership 101, in the chapter on belief, what we believe we can achieve. But when we worry and doubt, we end up doing without. And let me say that again, because I think that's important. And you might want to write that down on a sticky note and put it on your mirror in the bathroom. What we believe we can achieve. But when we worry and doubt, we end up doing without. So when it comes to anything we want in life, what is required? You better believe it. That's what's required. Belief. You cannot achieve what you do not believe. Now, one of my mentors, Christian Simpson, an incredible leadership coach, often says, and I want to give you a quote from Christian Simpson. This is what he says: your business and the quality of life it affords you cannot outperform the quality of thinking that you bring to it. Therefore, develop the owner and not the business. Now, I want you to think about what Christian said in that statement. Your business, whatever it is that you do to make an income for you and those you love, and the quality of life that you're living right now, is a direct result of the quality of thinking that you bring to that moment right now. If you've got limited thinking, you're going to have limited results. If you've got limitless thinking, you're opening the door to limitless opportunity. When you and I expand the quality of our thinking, here's what happened. We expand our understanding of what is possible, and more importantly, we expand our ability to believe that the impossible can be possible. Now, that begs the question, and you may be already asking it, John, how do we expand the quality of our thinking? It's a great question. Let me give you a couple of answers as it relates to that. Number one, it starts with questioning what you and I believe and why we believe those things. You know, many of the things we believe because we were taught those in the early formative years of our lives. Our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, other family members, and early influences in our lives, pastors, rabbis, teachers, and other people that were authority figures in our life spoke into us, and they empowered us with a belief system that may not have empowered us for limitless. It may have empowered us to be limited in what we can do. So it starts with questioning what we believe and why we believe what we believe. It's also asking those uncomfortable questions that you and I are afraid to ask ourselves. Now, why would I say that? Because we already know the answer to the question and we don't want to admit it. We are not doing what we know needs to be done. Now, we know it. We know what we need to do to be successful. But it goes back to what one of my other mentors I quote often, Chris Robinson, says, it's not that you can't, it's that you won't, and that choice is yours. But here's what I can tell you. You and I often know what needs to be done. But up to this point, you and I may have chosen, either in part or in whole, not to do those things necessary to improve the quality of our thinking, the quality of our outcomes, and the quality of our results. It's not that you can't, it's that you won't. And that choice is yours. And the quality of thinking that you bring to any endeavor is going to determine the quality of the outcome and the results that you're going to experience. Remember, nothing changes in your life until something changes. Now, one of the things I say often, as I've been on this podcast now for a while, and I remind you, when it comes to belief, it's this: as you think, you become. And once you stop thinking, you stop becoming. Now, let me take that little preface one step further. As you think, you become. Once you stop thinking, you start becoming. Now, let's go to the next part of that. But once you start expanding your thinking, you start expanding your becoming. Let me say that again. Once you start to expand your thinking, you begin to expand your becoming. And when you become a bigger, better version of yourself, you now have the opportunity to do bigger and better things. That's how success works. You better believe it. Now, improving the quality of our thinking also comes from exposing ourselves to others who are already where you and I want to be in the future, and having the opportunity to learn from them, to glean from their insight and wisdom, so they have the opportunity to reveal to us how they think and how their thinking drives the results they're experiencing. That way, you and I can learn how we can do it too. Now, it's for this reason alone that I spend thousands of dollars every year to hire coaches and mentors who constantly challenge my thinking and challenge my believing, as well as reminding me of who I am and who I want to become and what I need to do to get there. And I give them permission to speak into my life. If that's something you're not doing, I encourage you to make that financial investment in yourself today. It's some of the best money you will ever spend and one of the greatest returns you'll ever experience. Now, I was introduced several years ago through Tony Robbins, one of the greatest individuals that's out there in the world of personal development, been around forever. He's an icon in the industry. Tony introduced me several years ago to a classic novel, The Magic of Believing. The author, Claude Bristol. Now, Tony credits that book to giving him, in the early formative years of his life, the inspiration to begin to understand that believing can drive becoming. And as a result of that, Tony has become an international sensation. But in the book, The Magic of Believing, and yes, it's available on Amazon, even still today, the author Claude Bristol has introduced millions of people over the years to the power of belief. Now, the concept he teaches in the book is simple. Create an image of what you want in life. Secondly, hold that image unwaveringly in your mind. And third, if you do one, create the image, and two, hold the image unwaveringly in your mind. Three, your subconscious mind will work tirelessly to bring that image into its physical manifestation in the earth. That is essentially the magic of believing. Now, in the religious world, we refer to this as faith, which is an unwavering belief in someone or something. If we go to the Bible, in fact, we go to the New Testament in the Beatitudes, Matthew 5, verse 20 and 21, Jesus said, "For truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it'll move." Now, think about what Jesus was saying when it comes to belief. If faith the size of the smallest of all the seeds could move a mountain, what can you and I truly accomplish if we truly believe? But how many times have you told yourself no simply because you didn't believe something was possible, only to be proven by someone else that you were wrong? Now, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I make that statement. It's that great idea you had many, many years ago that you set on and never developed, that was ultimately monetized and made great by somebody else. Somebody who believed they could do it while you sat around and made excuses, procrastinated, or kept saying, "I'll get around to it one day. It's just not the right moment now." So, how many times have you ended up short circuiting your success in life by erecting a roadblock of disbelief that has prohibited you from even getting out there and trying? Hey, if you fail, but you fail forward, you learn, and you keep moving. I've talked about Thomas Edison a lot. He's one of my heroes, the man who learned 10,000 ways not to invent the incandescent light bulb before he was successful. He persisted until he succeeded because he believed the impossible was possible. But here's what I can tell you. There have been too many times that you have said no to an opportunity just because you lack the belief in yourself. But I want to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. Because as you expand the quality of your thinking through personal growth and development, here's what's going to happen. You're going to expose yourself to the limitless beliefs of other successful people who believe that all things are possible to him or her that believes. Their belief from working with these incredible people that you give the opportunity to speak into your life, their belief in themselves can inspire and motivate you to improve the quality of your thinking. They can challenge your limiting beliefs, and they can remove the roadblocks that are holding you back from more success. And this transition of successful people giving you the opportunity to claim their belief as yours has been happening for generations. In fact, it's been happening for hundreds of years. Let me give you one example. Leonardo da Vinci came into the world during the Renaissance era. And during that time in history, if you were born outside of wedlock, outside of a husband and wife relationship, you were considered an illegitimate child. Well, Leonardo da Vinci came into the world as a result of an affair his father had outside of marriage. And as a result of the times into which he was born, Leonardo, being deemed in that era of time as an illegitimate child, was deprived of many of the educational opportunities that were afforded to the familial children of the family. So Leonardo spent his time, when he wasn't getting the education the other kids were, educating himself. He spent time studying nature, later sketching what he observed. Leonardo's quest for learning and his zeal for exploration stretch his understanding of nature and science, along with his belief of what could be learned and what could be applied, and his vision for a future that was limitless. Now, if you've never studied the life of Leonardo da Vinci, it's one of those characters that you want to go and read about his life to learn some of the incredible things that he experienced and learned along the way. Let me share a few of those with you. Leonardo da Vinci was a man obsessed by what could be. He believed the impossible was possible. And that belief allowed him to envision a future world that was technologically advanced. And he began to envision and sketch and dream of inventions today that we take for granted. Let me give you an example of just a few of those. Leonardo da Vinci envisioned the parachute. He invented the deep diving suit, scuba gear as we call it today. He invented in his mind armored tanks, armored vehicles, self-propelled vehicles, and he envisioned the double-hulled sailing vessel that has become the mainstay of the shipping and sailing industry today. You know, today we take those things for granted, but in the Renaissance, when none of those things had yet to have been created, it took a visionary like Leonardo who believed the impossible was possible to pave the way for those things to come into being. Can you believe it? Well, Leonardo did, and the rest of the world now believes it too. Now, Leonardo was also a man of science. Da Vinci loved physics and biology in particular. He was a detailed student of human anatomy. He was enthralled by the human machine, as he described it, and how it operated. He made some of the most detailed drawings of human anatomy of the day, and many of those drawings we still see in medical journals today. He created the first conceptual model of the contact lens. Now, this was in the Renaissance period, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Leonardo also proposed the theory of plate tectonics to explain the physical world and how it moves. He also visualized, get this, harnessing the sun's power by collecting and concentrating its rays. He envisioned a future world where solar power could be collected and used to power equipment. Can you say solar panels? He also envisioned a world where we could concentrate the sun's power and use it as a weapon of war. Can anybody say laser? Those are the things Leonardo saw hundreds of years ago because he believed the impossible was possible, and anything he put his mind to do, he can do. Can you believe it? Leonardo did, and now the rest of the world believes it too. Now, believing all things were possible to he who believes, Leonardo da Vinci also envisioned a day when mankind, like the birds, could fly. His early experiments in flight and the sketches of helicopters and airplanes that he drew bore out his belief. And as he studied physics and he studied wind movements and he studied the impact of air on different types of fabrics and different types of structures, Leonardo envisioned the day that a man could get into a flying machine and fly across the sky. Hundreds of years later, his belief inspired two brothers who owned a bicycle shop to believe, like Da Vinci, that man, like the birds, could fly. And on December 17th, 1903, that dream became reality. That belief in a future world became reality for 12 seconds over the sand dunes in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The Wright brothers built a contraption, and on that day, that contraption took flight and ushered in the world of aviation. Now, Leonardo da Vinci's belief in human flight had inspired the Wright brothers to believe the impossible was indeed possible, and today, millions of people fly daily all over the world. Can you believe it? Leonardo did, the Wright brothers did, and now the rest of the world believes it too. Now, in the final chapter of the book, The Magic of Believing, the chapter is entitled Belief Makes Things Happen. And at the end of the chapter, author Clyde Bristol makes a declarative statement. And I want to leave you with this as I wrap up today's podcast. The entire course of a man's life has many times been changed by a single thought. History is replete with stories of strong-minded, resolutely willed individuals who steadfastly hold to their inner convictions. They have created out of nothing great businesses, huge empires, and new worlds. Now, these men and women have no monopoly over thought power, what he refers to as belief. You and every man and woman have it. All you have to do is use it. You will then become the person you envisage in your imagination. Belief will supply the power which will enable you to succeed in everything you take. Claude Bristol believed it. So did Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, Marie Curie, Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, Serena Williams, and countless other successful people throughout history. And if you want to be successful, you better believe it too. As you think, you believe. As you believe, you become. So let me leave you with 3 questions. Question number 1, what do you want to become? Question number 2, what do you need to believe to become that person? And question number 3, what limits are you placing on yourself based on your beliefs that are holding you back from saying, doing, and becoming more? I'm Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader, and I want to say thanks for joining me for the Black Belt Leadership Podcast. Have a great day.